Normal times mean standard tools. As the economy moves through a normal business cycle, with output ebbing and flowing, the FOMC may lower or raise the federal funds target range to steer the economy toward the FOMC dual mandate. For example, suppose the economy weakens with unemployment starting to rise and inflation averaging below the committee's 2% target. The FOMC might decide to make monetary policy more accommodative. If so, the FOMC would lower its target range for the federal funds rate, and to encourage this lower policy rate to transmit to financial market, the Fed would lower its administered rates, the IOR rate, the overnight RRP rate, and the discount rate accordingly. Lowering the administered interest rate is what encourages the policy accommodation to transmit to money market, broader financial condition, and the economy more generally. As depicted in Figure 1, the lower federal funds rate would rapidly be reflected in the interest rates that bank and other lenders charge on short-term loans to one another, household, non-financial business, and government entities. Similarly, the lower federal funds rate would be reflected in the rates applied to floating rate loans, including floating rate mortgages, as well as many personal and commercial credit lines. Longer-term interest rate move with short-term interest rate as well as expectation for future short-term rates. When long-term rates decline, they will spur the economic activity and job creation because many key economic decisions such as consumer purchase of house, car, and other big-ticket items or business investment in structure, machinery, and equipment involve long planning horizon. Over the past several years, the FOMC has raised and then lowered the target range of the federal funds rate to move the economy toward its dual mandate. Figure 5 shows the FOMC target range gray shaded area over time. When the FOMC decides to make any change to the policy target range, the Fed adjusts its administered rates. The black line shows the Fed's chosen setting of the IOR rate, the interest rate paid on excess reserve. In most instances, the administered rates will be decreased or increased by the exact same basis point as the target range. However, the administered rates can be moved by more or less to offset current market pressure that may be pulling the federal funds rate toward the top or bottom of the target range. Ultimately, the setting of IOR is such that the market determines federal funds rate. The effective FFR, the red line, remains in target range. Okay, this is Figure 5, federal funds rate and interest on reserve. So the black line is IOER and the red line is federal funds rate. As you can see, they both move in tandem. IOER is mostly like a straight lines, while the federal funds rate is like it's more spiky because it's the market. Figure 6 graphically illustrates how a cut to the FOMC policy target with the associated decline in Fed administered rates transmit to the market federal funds rate. The demand curve shifts down, but only at its endpoint where the Fed administered rate interact with banks' decision to hold reserves. At the y-axis, a lower discount rate implies that banks will no longer pay rates in the market higher than the new lower discount rate. And the flat portion of the curve also moved down along with the new lower IOR rate, because this is the new interest rate is the marginal benefit banks get from holding additional reserve. With this change, the FFR moves lower. That is, the lower administered rates working through market forces move the FFR into the target range. Okay, this one is Figure 6, as explained before. Lower administered rates translate into a lower FFR. This is the demand curve. The discount rate is at the highest, FFR at the low line, horizontal line with IOR rate is above FFR, while the overnight reverse repo rate is below FFR. As you can see, as the discount rate is being lower, it will also bring the other rate like IOR and overnight reverse repo rate lower, while FFR will follow suit. This discussion focused on how the Fed administered rate transmit the FOMC's FFR target directly to market interest rate. Then consumer and business behavior, which is affected by the level of interest rate, is captured in standard macroeconomic textbook models of saving, investment, and ultimately aggregate supply and demand. Of course, the Fed's action endogenously affect money demand and money supply, as the adjustment to interest rate affect banks, consumers, and business behavior. However, the Fed does not implement policy by setting a target for a particular level of the money supply in the economy. Discussion of this fashion are a holdover of how the Fed conducted and implemented policy in the past. First, the Fed conducted monetary policy with explicit money supply target in the 1970s and 1980s, but has long moved away from this practice as the link between growth in the money supply and economic activity became unstable. Second, the Fed implemented policy with limited reserve before 2007-2009 financial crisis. Within this old limited reserve regime, the Fed provided daily estimates of the supply of reserve or money quantity that were needed to transmit the FOMC's target to market interest rate. In the current ample reserve regime, however, the FOMC does not influence short-term rates through quantities nor consciously target a particular monetary quantity.